to my first live here on this channel. This is Scavenger's Bounty, where we collect all sorts of rare coins, things like that. Today I'm going to be hunting through a box of $50 of nickels. That's it's $100 of nickels, 50 rolls in total. Let's get into the first one. Now, right as I open it up, I'm going to be looking for any darker edges that I can find. I'm going to be looking for I'm going to be looking for any World War II era nickels because some of those were made out of silver rather than regular nickel and copper. And I'm going to be looking for a few other things. So let's see what we have here. There's a 1967 and a 1997. So in addition to those war nickels, I'm also going to be looking for anything that's older than 1960 here, because those years will tend to be more on the rare side, but I don't see anything coming out of this first roll, so we're going to get on to roll number 2. Okay, this is kind of the condition that we look for our older stuff in. Let's see what year we have there. That looks like a 1990, so actually pretty new. Looking for something quite a bit older than that. Here's a 1961, getting relatively close, but not quite there. Yeah, that's all for roll 2. On to roll number 3. Okay, we've got a couple of interesting edges here. I wouldn't think that anything here is silver, but we're going to check. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything crazy there. What's the date there? That's going to be a 1979. Okay. Yeah, like I said, we're going to be looking for anything pre-1960. They are generally pretty identifiable by just their age. Okay, a lot of newer coins here for sure. There was a 1984. This one looks like it might be a little older. Let's see the year on that. Looks like it is post-1960. 1963 is the year. So that's not quite old enough, not quite what we're looking for, but getting in the right direction. So it looks like that's going to be it for this roll. Here's roll 4. If you'll just bear with me, I'm going to adjust my eyeglasses for a sec. Okay, that should be a little better. And on to roll 4. Okay, got something, nope, not old, just a bit dirtier, I guess. Okay, not seeing anything in this roll, so we're going to move on to roll 5. I'm going to be making sure to check each of the dates of these coins because we are also looking for 2009s. You can see a couple of different designs, the old Jefferson and the new. The 2009s are of the newer designs, so I'll be keeping an eye out for those, but I do believe we just found something older. That's right, we've got a 1946 right here. Mint mark on that is going to be San Francisco. So that's a pretty good date. We're definitely going to be putting that off to the side, making sure that we don't lose that. And we're going to continue on. Here's a 1964 for us. That one is a bit older, however, it's very common coin. They made just an absolute ton of pennies, or rather nickels in 1964, so I'll not be keeping that. But I think we have something a little older here. It looks like a 1952 right there. Again, from the San Francisco Mint. There's a couple of San Franciscos there. We'll put that down with the other one. And I think that is going to do it for roll 5. To roll 6. Got one that looks older, but this is only a 1984 right there. Well, this is a pretty interesting one, a very pink-looking nickel. Let's see if it's a date we're interested in. I think that does say, yeah, 1957, so let's check the back. And that is from the Denver Mint. That's going to be the more common mint, I believe. But still, 1957 is pre-60, so that's something we'll keep, and some interesting color on there. I wonder what that is from. Let's continue on. There was something older here as well. Let me just make sure that got nothing before that. So this one's going to be a 1948. The mint there is going to be Philadelphia. Okay. Yeah, I'm still getting used to YouTube Lives a little bit, so kind of experimenting with the different features. I don't think the flash really helps, so but I'll definitely keep that in mind. Let's see if there's anything else here. I think that is going to be it. Now on to roll 7. Got a very damaged one right here. Looks like a 1960. Let's see if I can spot the date on there if I zoom in. 1962 or 3, I think. Anyway, we're just going to put that in the discard pile. And let's get into this roll. I think we have another 1952 right here. This one, again from the San Francisco Mint. Let's take another look at the date there. Yeah, so 2 of those 1952 San Franciscos. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Let's see. I'm seeing either a 59 or a 39 right there. Looks to me, yeah, 59. Okay, that'll still do. 1959 Denver. That is pre-60, so I will be keeping it. Let's continue. That's the 81. And a 64. Okay, on to roll 8. Another 1959 right here. This one, though, from the Philadelphia Mint, so that's interesting. 1959 will have a bit fewer made at the Philadelphia Mint, so it's good to see that coming out. A couple of 70s era nickels. Gotta keep a sharp eye out for the 09. This one's an 07 right there. Sometimes those can confuse a little bit, as well as the 08s. But looks like we might have some more interesting stuff towards the end of this roll. Let's see what these two are. That one is going to be, is that a 63? Is that what that says? Okay, so yeah, a little older, but again, that's not quite what we're looking for. And that's going to be all for roll 8. Okay, on to roll 9. Okay, here looks like we've got something hiding out in our nickels here. That's a dime right there. Wonder what the date is on here. 79. Yeah, so that'll give us a few extra cents on our dollar. That's pretty good. I'll actually keep that and post it later, but let's see what else we can find. Here's another 64. And another 64. As you can see, it's very common. That's all for roll 9. Now on to roll 10. There's a 2014, I believe. Yep. We are going to be looking for any 2024s because those are low mintage. That's going to do it for roll 10. That puts us at 20%. Now on to roll number 11. There's a 77 there. Not quite old enough for us. Nothing in roll 11. Let's check out roll 12. Okay, this is kind of an interesting edge, but not really. Let's see what we have here. So with some of these westward expansion kind of coins, these do have special designs, but they are very common, so I'm not going to be keeping any of those. Let's see what else we have here. See, we might have something here. No, that is a 2006. My eyes were trying to tell me that it was a 2009, but it is not. A little bit of damage on there that kind of tricked me. Yeah, 2009s are low mintage. That's why I would keep a 2009. What do we got there? 86 Philadelphia. It looked a little shiny, thought it might be a proof. Proofs are special minted coins that are made to be collected. Okay. Here's roll 13. There's a 72 there, 64, and I can see 76, and that's all for roll 13. Let's check out roll 14. Okay, from the edge, just looks like the rest of these. Old mixed in with new. There's a 68 there. Getting a bit older. Here we go, something a little more interesting. It's a 1954. This one from the San Francisco Mint, just like those 1952s that we found. Let's see if there's anything else in this roll. That's going to be all for us. Now let's check out roll 15. Here's a 1962, so like some of those other early 60s coins, not going to be keeping that one. Now with that, I'm going to very quickly clear off the work area. And get rid of all the discard coins. And then we'll get back to it. All right, here we go. Another 2006 right there. That's going to be all for this roll. Let's roll 17. All right, here's a 2024 for us. First one we found in this box so far. Okay, I'll be keeping that for sure. Yeah, low mintage one right there. What is the date on this one? 1987, okay. Tough to see that one, but that's not something that we'd keep. This one's in really rough shape right here. Must have come from a parking lot or something. Here's roll 18. I think that's another 59 for us. That's right. 59 Philadelphia once again. Not bad. See what else we got here. that is going to be all for this roll. What is the date on here? 60. So, yeah, nothing crazy there. Let's get on to roll 19. Seen a lot of 06s. Haven't seen any 09s though. Okay. On to roll 20. Oh, I think we might have something interesting here. Yeah, let me try to show you the edge. You see how this edge looks just a bit thicker than the rest? I think it's possible that this is a proof. Let's try to pull it out. Let's see. It's really tough to see in the camera. Doesn't want to focus. However, this actually looks like it might not be a proof. Yeah, I think that is just a regular 2022 or 23 Denver. All right, any proofs will be from the San Francisco Mint, and they will have a bit of a thicker edge, but it looks like this one doesn't quite make the cut. Let's see what else we can find in here. Kind of a mess now, but... That's all for roll number 20. Let's get on to roll 21. There's another 1957 here. I think that's at least the second or third. This one from the Denver Mint. Okay, finding a lot of stuff in the 50s. That's pretty good. Let's check out roll 22. And another 1962. Oh, looks like we got another find here. This one is a 19, see if we can get you a good angle, 1946 there. Let's check the mint. I don't see any mint mark on there, meaning it is from the Philadelphia mint. '80s, '70s there. There's a 62 once again. Is that what I think it is? There we go. There's a 2009 Denver. Okay, yeah, I've been looking for those for a while. And we have one. So we will add that to the collection over there and see if there's anything else in this roll. Here's roll number 24. Nothing in roll 24, on to roll 25. A 64. All right, so we've got something a little more interesting here. This is a 1942. This one's a bit of a gamble for us because it is possible that this is silver, or it could just be the regular alloy. How we're going to tell is we're going to flip it over, and we're going to check above the Monticello, which is this building here. We're going to see if there's a mint mark above it. If there is a mint mark above it, it is silver. If there is not, then it is not. As for this one, just looking at it, I don't believe this is silver, but let's check. Yeah, no mint mark there, meaning this is from the Philadelphia Mint, 1942, and that is not silver. But it is cool. It is pretty old. World War II era. Good find. Here's roll 26. Okay, let's see roll 27. There's a very shiny 2022 right there. Definitely not a proof, though. Here's roll 28. Got a hair there, unfortunately. That's pretty gross. Got a really damaged one right here. 2020 something, I think. But just discard that. Let's see what else we have. There's a 1967 in pretty good condition there. Yep, but pretty common coin, so I'm not going to be keeping it. Let's move on to roll 29. That looks pretty interesting. Yeah, we've got a 1939 for us. That is almost as old as they come. This one from the Philadelphia Mint. They began making Jefferson nickels in 1938. 1939 is a relatively common year because of World War II starting around that time. There was a lot of currency being minted, but cool nonetheless. Really cool to see something in the 1930s. It's going to be all for roll 29, and here's roll 30. This one's in really rough condition. Let's see if that's because it's an old one. Not really, 1977. That is kind of old, but, you know, could have some viewers that are that old, so don't want to be saying anything crazy. There's a 1955 from the Denver Mint. Okay, good find, good find. Let's see what else there is. Before we get into the next 20 rolls, I'm going to once again clear off the table. Let's get on to roll 31. This one looks older, but it's just an 83. Oh, here's one of those. Which year is this? 2004. This one's extremely worn down on this side, as you can see there. Let's keep going. 80s, 70s. 61 on the end. Nothing crazy. Let's check out roll 32. See if this is anything. No. Oops. Put it in the wrong place. Discard. One's an 82. Something looking a little interesting over here. That's just a 90. 64. I'm just going to do it for 32. Grab a couple of these wrappers. And let's move on to roll 33. Got a 2012 and some something right there. That was a pretty good find. Here's a 1940. Getting pretty old on us there. Looks like from the Philadelphia Mint. Put that to the side. Let's see if we got any other finds in this roll. Nothing for us there. On to roll 34. Here's roll 35. You see one shiny edge there, probably just a newer coin. Yep. This one is a 2023. Let's see what else is in here. Okay, seen a lot of newer looking coins here. No 2009 so far. We're going to be looking for those 2009s as well as some of the older stuff back in the 50s and older. Okay, nothing in this row. We're going to move on to roll 36. This is a very corroded looking coin. Can't really make out the year. There it is, 2015. Okay, but that is definitely not old enough to keep. Here's a 64. That's a pretty common one, so we'll not be keeping that. Mainly looking for 50s and earlier. It's a 74 here. Okay, not seeing anything in this one either. Let's see if we can find something in roll 37. No 09s there. There's an 06. Another 06. This one's really like to trick me and make me think it's an 09, but only found one of those so far tonight. Tons of 2022s in here. Finding a lot of those. Nothing in roll 37. On to roll 38. See what we got at the end there. It's a 1962. Yeah, not quite what we're looking for. Pretty close, though. So maybe we'll find something else old in this roll. Okay, that's it. Now on to roll 38, or rather, this is 39. Okay, so some older edges there. Got a hair there, that's not good. Don't like to see that. I think, yeah, 65. Not too interested in that. Here's roll 40. Getting kind of close to the end now. See something interesting over here. See the date on that one. 1940, quite old there. 1940 from the Denver Mint. Okay, I think the other one was a Philadelphia. That coin right there is, what, 85 years old? Yeah, 85 years old. And look at this. Right after, we're finding a 1941. This one, sadly, very scratched, but let's check the mintage, or the mint mark. Philadelphia. When there is no mint mark present, that means you have found yourself a Philadelphia. And finding something else kind of interesting here. That's a 1959. So 59 Denver. So it just barely makes it into, what we're looking for. Make it into our range there. This is another 40s. I think we got a 49 right there. Yeah, slightly tough to make out. A lot of damage on this coin. You can see from those lines around the face and around the back of the head that this coin was actually on the end of the roll. Sometimes when these rolls are made, the coins can get damaged in that way. Some people call it the ring of death. A little tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, tons of damage on the back too, and this one doesn't have a mint mark, meaning it's from the Philadelphia Mint. 1949 was a pretty low mintage year compared to some of the years around it. So I would be interested to find out exactly what the mintage is on that one. Right. Now on to our last 10 rolls, starting with roll 41. $64 on the end of the roll. That one's at 23, that new one. Couple of 07s around there, 2010 rather. Here's a 1954. You can see that. 1954 from the San Francisco Mint. We might have gotten one or two of these already. And there's one. Let's see what else we have here. Maybe that's a good camera angle. You can kind of see things a little more clearly. Okay, nothing crazy there. Sure that stuff's out of our way here. And let's get on to the next roll. 42. Looks like this one has a little something that's not supposed to be there. Let me push all these away for a sec. Yeah, this one's got a penny in the nickel roll. That's not very good. Looks like a 2020. Yeah, so shortchanged by a few cents there. Although I did get a dime out of a previous roll, so at least that kind of balances things out. Still getting a couple of extra cents out of this box thus far. This one looks a bit older. What have we got there? 1946, and I believe I saw a Denver mint mark there. 1946 Denver. I think we got 3 1946s now. And is this something? I think that says a 1960. Yeah, 1961. Take it or leave it. Kind of deal there. Now on to roll 43. I think that's a 50s era right there. Probably 55 is what we're looking at. And ooh, a lot of damage where the mint mark is supposed to be. Do I see a Denver mint mark there? I think so. Let me just look at it closely. Yeah, pretty tough to see, but I think I'm looking at a Denver mint mark there. Some 06s. 64. Okay. I think that was roll 43, which would make this roll 44. This one's got a pretty thick edge. Definitely not a proof, though. I think that said Denver. This is 1962. As well. Here's roll 45. Okay, looking pretty new for the most part. Let's go through this one pretty quickly. Although I don't want to miss any 2009s or anything. Okay, don't see anything there. Down to our last 5 rolls. Here's roll 46. Here's roll 45, and here's roll number 46. There's 4 rolls to go. Nothing crazy jumps out at me on the edges there. That's a 1970. Got a 1961 as well. Not seeing any 09s there. This one looks a little older, but no, that's just a 1979. That should do it. Down to our last 3 now. think we've got a 69 right there, 1969, yeah. Anything else? Looking for something a little older than that. Okay, nothing in this row. Let's check out our last two. Here's roll 49. Okay, that's going to do it for that one. And now we're on to our very last roll. See what we have here. Okay, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for the coin roll hunt. I'll go over some of our finds here. If I just organize them a little bit. There we go. So we found a good quantity of stuff for sure, ranging from 40 through the 1950s. There's a 46 right there. We found a couple of those. A lot of late 50s. Those 59s came up quite a bit. Some 57s as well. That was that 1942 that ended up not being silver. There's that dime we got out of the roll. A very pink 1957 for us. This one, what is that? A 46. There's the one 2009 that we found. A couple other 50s. There's the 48 that I was thinking of. Very damaged 59 there. We've got 41, 39, and a 2024 on the opposite end of the spectrum, very new, and there's a 1940. So that's going to do it for the coin roll hunt. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.